playoffs. Former NFL player Jack Brewer joins me now. Jack, you know, there are all kinds of moral implications we need to get into. But first, just the dollars and cents of it. I mean, California leads the nation in the number of tax people fleeing because of the high taxes and regulations. It's running a $24 billion deficit, and it wants to spend $800 billion on this. The numbers just don't add up, do they?
No, they don't. It's unfortunate. You know, I wish everyone could be handed, you know, checks of $1 million+ but that's just not realistic. And you wonder why a place like California runs the way that it does. I mean, they're overtaxing people, and people are having to flee some of the most beautiful property on the planet. And it's just sad to see that people are this lost, and that there's so many that are just appeasing this idea that we all know is foolishness.
And the bottom line, and this does get to the morality of all this, we know that this is more than just about money. What's happening in the black community, what's happening in a lot of communities in the United States, not just the black community, by the way, all over the United States, there is this problem with nuclear families that are breaking up, partly because of government perverse incentives from the government, et cetera. I mean, the questions go beyond money. How do you strengthen communities, beginning with the most nuclear community of all, the family?
But no one wants to talk about that. You know, I'm all for reparations, but I want reparations through education. Starting off in California, a place where when you look at African-American kids, 84% of them are not proficient in math and reading. 84%. I mean, that should be criminal. And so to see a bunch of legislators up trying to get $1 million checks when you have your kids that can't read and write, just really shows you how lost they are and where their focus is. It's almost a demonic feeling to think that you can have so many children born out of wedlock, millions of kids born out of wedlock, particularly African-American kids with no fathers in their homes. You know, California is a place where, you know, you see sex trafficking is on the rise. You see violence is on the rise. You see these kids are going to school and not being able to learn. And so if you don't want to fix those problems first, where are your priorities? And so, yeah, let's have reparations. Every American should stand up for reparations through education so that we can help the most underserved people get back on track so they can participate in this great American dream.
And, you know, the test scores and the ability of people to compete in a very competitive world right now have been going down, despite, I would say, perhaps because of all the billions of dollars we've just been trying to throw at a problem. That doesn't do it. The money alone doesn't do it. It's putting parents back in control. That's why the idea of giving parents more control of their kids' education is so important, because they then have a property in the notion of their kids' education. They feel a sense of not just obligation, but also participation in what's going on in their kids' lives.
That's right, and it's a level of accountability to get your kid focused on their schoolwork. I mean, I'm lucky to live with my wife, and I got to stay on top of my kids to stay on their schoolwork. It takes responsibility for parents to make sure that their children are participating in school. And if you don't have that, you're going to start having a breakdown in morality, and that's the biggest issue that we face in America, is a moral issue. We have a crisis where kids, you know, have abandoned and not taught the 10 Commandments. You have a crisis where spirituality has just been ripped out of schools. And so you see what's going on. I feel sorry for these teachers. I just met with a school last week. I felt terrible for this principal trying to take on all this spiritual warfare that's been placed in front of her. And so for someone to go around asking for $1 million checks and not asking to fix the fabric, the morality of our nation, it's a disaster, and it's almost criminal.
Yeah, I know this network is all about money, and money can be very helpful in situations. But in this case, this is proof that it's not just about money. You throw billions of dollars at a problem, you're not necessarily going to fix it if you don't have other things in mind. Jack, always a pleasure to get your full-scale view of what's going on in the nation. Thank you very much for the work you do.
God bless you, brother.
And you, Jack. Let's check in.